This is the first EITAIKYO service to be held in person as well as online since 2020. And it is wonderful to see so many of you here in attendance this morning. And you'll be happy to know that over the past 4 years, you haven't changed a bit. My name is Michael Endo. I'm the executive assistant to BCA Bishop Reverend Marvin Harada, and I'm honored to serve as your chairman this morning. The BCA annual EITAIKYO Perpetual Memorial Service is a time in which we take a moment to remember with a deep sense of gratitude and appreciation the many, many BCA ministers, leaders, and members who have returned to the Pure Land before us.
I'm nervous. I'd like to thank Bishop Harada, President Omori, and President-to-be Steve Terasaki, the 2024 National Council Meeting Committee, and the Sacramento Betsuin for inviting me to speak this morning. As you know, I am a recently retired minister, and it has been the tradition that one of the ministers who retired during the previous year would speak at the National Council EITAIKYO service. And since I was the only one who retired last year, it fell to me. And I'd like to explain that this is not a formal Dharma talk or a howa. I know I will be criticized by some for not giving a howa. Rather, I will be giving a kanwa, or what we call a feeling talk, without the structure of a howa. And it has been my preference not to quote something that Shinran wrote or something from the sutras. Rather, I take the challenge to show and explain Shin Buddhism in my own words. This morning, I'd like to share a few reflections of my 77 years that I have been around BCA. As a minister, I was around the early days, not the beginning, but the early days of Taiko and Reverend Maskodani and Kinara, which helped start the Midwest Buddhist Temple Taiko group in 1977. But when I first became a Kaikyoshi in 1973, it was the later days of the pre-war Issei ministers. And some of those ministers were giants for what they endured and what they accomplished. Ministers like Reverend Tamai, Reverend Masaoka, Reverend Hojo, Reverend Abiko, Reverend Seki, Reverend Kono, and others. The times are changing, and maybe we have gotten too soft and too comfortable. Perhaps the shared hardships of poverty in the incarceration camps, the external forces against Buddhism hardened those ministers of 50 and 70 years ago. You know, what is traditional and what is necessary? You know, what is the real meaning of things? And I tried to change and adjust the presentation. And I am reminded that that was what we sort of had to do, to change, not the teaching, change the presentation. And I am reminded that this really was the core of Shinran's message. There was a famous Zen master in a temple in Kyoto, and one day, one of the members, a rich merchant of the temple, decided he wanted to know the meaning of life. So he wanted to talk to the local famous priest. He makes a half-hour appointment, with the monk, thinking he could find the meaning of life in 30 minutes because this is a profound, famous monk, Of course. You go to your minister for a 30-minute appointment and find out what the Nembutsu means. It takes a lifetime. Never mind. On the appointed day and time, the rich merchant goes to the temple and is shown to a small tea room and is told to wait for the monk. And he waits, and he waits, and he's getting agitated and getting angry. And finally, he goes out to find someone and demands to know, where is the monk? I need to see him immediately. I'm already late for my next meeting. The merchant is calmed down, is led back into the room, and he continues to wait, and he continues to get angry. And when he's just about ready to get up and find somebody again, the monk slides the door open, enters quietly with the tray, teapot, and 2 teacups. Sets it down, and by this time, the merchant is so angry, and he rails at the monk. I'm a busy merchant, and I donate a lot of money to your temple. Why did you make me wait? The monk smiles quietly and says, first, let's have a cup of tea. And he puts the teacup in front of the merchant, and then he starts to pour. And he pours, and he pours, and the tea overflows the cup and is spreading across the table. And the rich merchant is beside himself. He yells, you are a foolish old man. You made me wait, and now you're making a mess, overfilling the teacup, making a mess. And quietly the monk calmly looks up at the merchant and says, you are like the teacup. You are so full of yourself, nothing can get in. End of story. And we have to ask ourselves, are we like that teacup, so full of ourselves that we cannot let wisdom and compassion into our hearts, into our lives? We need to be an empty teacup so we can accept and receive wisdom and compassion, the compassion and wisdom of Amida Buddha. Let us be that empty teacup.
So at this time, we come to the conclusion of our EITAIKYO service this morning. I wish to take this opportunity to express my deepest appreciation to a number of people. As your chairman this morning, I wish to again thank you all for joining us for today's BCA EITAIKYO service. It'll be a few minutes before I'm sure you all leave, but please have a safe trip home. And so that will conclude the service portion of this morning's service. If we could just close with Gassho. Namandabs, 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 namandabs. Thank you very much. We'll now proceed with the installation of officers for the BCA Ministers Association, as well as the BCA National Board, Executive Board. And so as I call your name, if you could please come forward, Bishop Harada will install both cabinets together. So. Beginning with the BCA Ministers Association, our new Gicho Chairman, Reverend Henry Adams from the Bay District. Reverend Katsuya Kusunoki from the Northwest District. Reverend Gerald Sakamoto from the, and for our BCA National Board Executive Committee, President Stephen Terusaki. President-elect Glenn Inanaga,
in mind. Remember that the focus of the temple is to nurture our lives within the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. As long as you keep the three treasures close to your heart and mind, you will never stray from the right path in leading others. May you joyously and with gratitude serve your fellow Buddhists during the course of this year. If you take these responsibilities upon your shoulders, please repeat the following. Please repeat after me. I will do my best to serve as an officer in the Buddhist Churches of America. I will strive to be considerate to all and to be a leader by example more than by words. I will do my utmost to listen to the teachings and reflect upon myself. I will serve my Sangha with joy and gratitude. I put my faith in Buddha. I put my faith in Dharma. I put my faith in Sangha. Namo Amida Buddha. Amanda Buddha. Namanda Buddha. Namanda Buddha. Namanda Buddha. Namanda Buddha. Namanda Buddha. Congratulations, and may we have a wonderful year with your leadership this year. Please join me in congratulating our cabinet for this year.
Again, this will conclude this morning's EITAIKYO service and the conclusion of our National Council busy week of meetings and things. So thank you all again very much for your attendance, and we look forward to seeing you next year on Zoom. Namandabs, 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 namandabs.